and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reading of the call.
Dear Supervisor, please be advised that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors will meet at 7 p.m. on August 21st, 2023 in the County Board Room. All County Board members' claims are due in the County Clerk's office by noon on August 4th, 2023, so they can be prepared for Audit Committee approval. Please note there will be a tour of the Justice Center at 6 p.m. on August 21st before the County Board meeting.
That's why we're a little late. But anyway, roll call.
Bridget Turner.
Here.
Stacy Klein.
Here.
Richard Seisha.
Yes.
Lori Severson.
Here.
Andy Todd.
Here.
Emery Palmer.
He's on.
He's supposed to be on there. He was.
Can you hear us, Emery?
I heard him before.
But he says he's talking.
Yeah, we're not hearing you.
Turn on your mic, or turn on your, is he muted?
You're probably on mute.
He was there.
Anyway, just go on.
Well, I'm going to count him as here because I saw him up there.
Okay.
Kevin Adams.
Here.
Dick Miller.
Here.
David Orsh.
Here.
John Austin.
Here.
Don Waldera.
Here.
Robert Becker.
Here.
Dan Schreiner. Here. Kellen Nelson.
Here.
David Larson.
Here.
Jeannie Nutter.
Here.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
17-0. And hopefully we'll find him again.
Anyway, certified meeting, open meeting law requires to be met with proper posting and notification.
Yes.
We have a 14-item agenda. Looking for approval.
I move to adopt the agenda.
Motion by Ms. Nutter, second by Ms. Turner. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
You were pretty fast. You were going to drop Kurt's burner seat.
Oh, I forgot.
Kurt's not going to be here tonight.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the.
Ooh, you got echo.
We don't need psychedelic or whatever. Testing.
Yeah.
Oh, we got feedback. Ooh.
Where's Kevin?
Where's our technician? Do we have anybody from IT that knows anything?
Kevin, where are you? Kevin.
So Robertson, do the big TV.
Yeah, turn the volume on the big TV, I guess. Is that doing it? Yep. That's better. Okay.
Is it working? Oh, yeah, it is. Good. It's working now.
I forgot to mention that Kurt Berner called item C at 5C. You can't make it tonight, so you can drop that item from your agenda. Otherwise, it remains as approved.
When is he going to be, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah. Will he be here next month?
He didn't say it. We'll work on it. Approval of the minutes. Looking for a motion to. Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Ms. Nutter. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Johnson, second by Nutter. Appearances. We have Jerry Dietz here from the Healthcare Center. Would you like to come up front? Where are you? Oh, there he is. There we go. The overview of the Healthcare Center. Thank you for coming.
Blue light, correct?
Yep. Or red light.
You're on.
There you go. Hello, everyone.
Get your mic closer.
Yep. So, you guys, everyone should have a handout of a short, brief presentation about the Healthcare Center oversight. Educational. It's an opportunity for us to educate everyone on who we are, what we do, and so forth. If you can help me, do I just need a push button here?
Yeah, but we have to mute it first.
Okay.
Bear with me.
So before we get started here, again, there's been a lot of changes over the years with the Healthcare Center. Our mission and philosophy continues to objectively be, to serve all of Wisconsin, many types of managed care organizations, counties, and so forth. I'm going to go through a brief history. I'm not one that will read word for word to everyone, but if there is someone that wants me to emphasize a little bit more on a certain slide and so forth, we can sure do that. So we'll just start at the beginning. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask me those questions. If there's questions that come up later on, feel free and get them to Stacy, and she'll get them to me, and we can review them at one of our Board of Trustee meetings. The first slide that you guys will see here is the history of the healthcare center. Again, you will see in 1898, there was a resolution that was passed. There was some Vaughton land, donated land, that for the mission and philosophy of working with indigent individuals that need treatment, placement, homes, and so forth. Again, that has evolved over the years, and but again, our mission or philosophy has not changed to. No, I'm going to echo.
Is your computer muted?
Am I still echoing?
Yeah, I would mute your computer.
They're doing. Okay, now check.
How am I doing now? Okay, there we go. So if we look at our first slide, again, I know you guys got a busy schedule tonight. You've got closed session, you've got a lot on there, so I don't want to take a lot of your time, but I still want to take enough time that people understand truly who we are, what we do, because there's a lot of misconceived perceptions out amongst the community, amongst the state about Trempealeau County Healthcare Center. In the olden days, it was known, of course, as an asylum. You know, that stigma has now changed. Trempealeau County Healthcare Center is well known across the state of Wisconsin. In my opinion, you're looking at a regional, you know, I mean, we are a state licensed facility for part of it, but we are more regional, and we serve all of Wisconsin. We serve I'll get into a map of the counties that we've served in the last 3 years. I'll get into some brief rates. I won't get into all of the ongoing Medicare, Medicaid struggles that everyone is having, as we know that there's a lot of closures amongst the entire state. I know that over the last 12 months, there's a significant amount of beds that have been taken out of commission. I believe that number was just over like, oh gosh, it was over 40-some thousand. You know, there's a lot. It's happening again.
No, it stopped.
Okay, so look at first one, 1898, passed a resolution. Again, it was known as the Poor Farm, Poor House. I really don't like that type of terminology, but that is reality. That's what it was. It has transitioned into a recovery-based stabilization facility. Trempealeau County Healthcare Center had a stigma for many years of when we came to that facility, we would live at that facility. And now that has changed to more of a short-term stabilization organization in the mental health section, with the other sections being more long-term care, skilled facilities, including the community-based facilities. If you go to the second page, again, if there's questions with the history and so forth, you'll see another picture there. That was a transition when there was a build-on of the old organization. During that period of time, again, I've been in this for 37 years, 27 years at the healthcare center. And, you know, I remember the days when I was actually the one in my 20s handing out the hats to people as they took them out on the wagons to work in the fields. I was one that worked the night shift during the night, and we had a watchman's clock, and we had to go around in the old building to clock for fires. Very proud of it. You know, the organization has come, you know, made great strides in treatment and recovery, and we've really done well. You know, when you look, when Obert came through and so forth, and there was, you know, the big push for the state hospitals, and even, you know, some of the closure of some of the state hospitals, even like Northern Center, who was over 3,000 beds for capacity, going down to 25, there was a big push to get individuals back in the community, and we were part of that. And I'll explain a little bit about our licensure as we go forward. There's some information on here about the farm. In 2007, we created, again, there's been decades of planning that has been put forth through a treatment team, interdisciplinary concept, and it's been very successful. We've created many homes in the community, with the big push and so forth, and I'll go through all of those. Funding's always been a struggle. We at the healthcare center budget very tightly, again, still ensuring that we have funds for capital improvement, primary focus with the needs for the patients, and start supporting our employee base and so forth. 2016, of course, we built a new building again, and that was pretty significant. There was a decision at that time not to tear the old building down, which would have been approximately $4.4 million just to bury that place, and the board and so forth chose not to do that. So I'll go through some remodels that we've done there and some future planning. The next one is an organizational chart, just kind of gives you an overview of where we stand. Oh gosh. There we go. So you'll see this here. It's our organizational chart that talks about all of the leadership and the leaders in the other departments, and of course I could go on and on because it's the direct care that really make the organization. We're a very highly skilled team. Everywhere from housekeeping to dietary to nurses to administrators to the doctors. When you go down to level number 3 there, we do have the executive team and the medical director, and the next page when I go to that will show some of those names. And we do have 2 medical directors, one of them being a full-time employee. When you go to the next one here, you got the leadership team. We've got medical staff. When you look at all of these individuals are on the left are full-time employees, the medical staff, the psychiatrist, and the mental health nurse practitioner, and the PA are all full-time employees. The rest are all part-time employees. We've got our board of trustees and approximately 270 employees right now, which is pretty amazing. Compared to the workforce that's out there right now. Again, we've really focused on recruitment, we've focused on retaining employees, and we've been pretty darn successful. We've got, almost all of our positions filled, and we're pretty proud of that. But again, it's an everyday process, and keeping people happy with some of the new cultural changes that are out there are pretty challenging. Let's start with the main campus there. I really don't like the terminology Institute for Mental Disease. I think it's very much puts a stigma on anyone with a mental illness, which could be as simple as anxiety. But again, when you look at HFS 132 and under the CMS regulations, that's specific what the definition is. So this used to be this licensure, 6 of these across the state of Wisconsin. Right now, the healthcare center is the only one of this magnitude. There are 2 other facility-like small 14-bed facilities, but again, as far as the contractual needs and the acuity of the individuals, they are more of your, what they call, my opinion, classic dementia care facilities where you may have the behavioral challenges, but not to the magnitude. Even one is in Juneau County and one is in La Crosse County. Yep. We take a lot of individuals from them. We stabilize, and even on our geropsych that I'll be talking about, we created a 12-bed geropsych unit, and very successful. People think geropsych, dementia care, elderly individuals with behavioral challenges. Boom, they come in, they're there for the rest of their lives. Our goal, and we've been very successful even on that unit, is that we have an 83% turnaround, where we might bring a family member in, how to better work with that individual and how can they care for them at home. So it's pretty darn successful. One thing that we are doing, you'll see that provide services to persons throughout the state of Wisconsin, 18 and over, we can easily apply for a waiver to treat under 18. But again, with the vulnerable individuals that we have out there, it's a whole new gamut, because you have to have, the vulnerability of the individuals in supervision just is not somewhere that I'm willing to go. And our treatment team and medical directors aren't willing to go. I have worked in that department with a lot of the adolescents, and you have to be experts at what you do, and we're just not capable to do that at this time.
I just have a quick question. How many counties still have healthcare centers, still operate healthcare centers? I know it used to be a lot, but
I know I believe.
There's Clark County, us.
Yeah. Is there 6? 8?
Okay, I was just curious.
Under 10.
I can Google that later.
There's not many.
I know, yeah.
Clark County has one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we provide all of Clark County Healthcare Center, Clark County CSP, Clark County Jail, Clark County CSP, all of their psychiatric services.
Okay.
And we have for years.
Okay.
And we actually partner with them. That's a good example of an organization where if someone has an exacerbation of their, again, so many people are duly diagnosed when they come in.
Clark County did have a psych unit at one time.
And that has went to an all-male dementia care unit.
So that's changed. They no longer have that. I know
Yep.
not that long ago they had one, so they don't have it anymore.
Yep, and I used to regulate all these facilities in Wisconsin, so I'm pretty familiar with all of them, and we partner very well with all of these facilities.
Somebody, a friend of mine was up and when they had the.
Let's get back
Yep.
to Trempealeau County.
So when you see 18 and over, one thing that kind of happens there is we've had to do a lot of education with MCOs. Everyone knows MCOs, managed care organizations, inclusive.
If you could, when you do an acronym, say what it is, because maybe not everybody.
And that's why I said managed
Okay,
care.
good,
Yep, managed
good.
care organizations, MCOs.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of people don't understand that they can still use individual facilities like the healthcare center. It's because if they're between 22 and 64, they can still use some Medicaid dollars, but a lot of people prefer not to do that because it's a lot of work. So I should just rephrase that. If you're 22 to 64, you can't, but if you're under 22 and greater than 64, you can, where Medicaid can still be billed. So it's quite a hoops for the counties to jump through, but as we all know, funding, jumping through hoops isn't what people want to do. And we can't do the work for them. So if someone wants to place someone with us, we will partner on that, but we cannot do all of that work. But there are still options. That's when we see struggles with counties. I don't want to place you because you don't want to pay. And I will get into some rates here shortly, but when you look at rates, and I'll just throw general numbers out there, I just printed off the rates for the state hospitals. We're very much within those, within having that information and so forth. We average $375 per day. We apply for a $1.55 million grant, mental health grant every year, which we do get. That money is divided up between each county, and they get a discount of that $375 per day for every day they use us, compared to the current rate at Winnebago and Mendota is $1,319 per day, plus the first 30 days is $308 per day, which is $1,627 per day. Yes.
Mr. Dietz, can you explain, Winnebago and some of those bigger facilities, they're the facilities that I'm familiar with transferring acute mental health crises patients to. Can you explain the difference between the crises patients and the patients that you're treating?
So we do have one crisis bed in our facility. That's only used for patients within our program. When actually myself and another surveyor licensed that bed, at that time, it's not available to open up to other counties. It's too much red tape and the whole liability responsibility. The state hospitals, the only difference between Trempealeau County Healthcare Center, IMD, and the state hospitals is that the one thing, because we're licensed under a 132, which is long-term care, we cannot do the first 72-hour hold. So whenever you're at a hospital, you're sitting in a jail, you need somewhere to go under emergency detention, that specifically has to go to an acute care hospital or to a state hospital for that first 72 hours, then we can intervene. Now, if that person is currently under a commitment, which there's about 7 of them that would qualify for admission, then we can look at it differently. So it's that first 72 hours of acute care. And it's all regulatory licensure. Nursing facility that's attached to the main center, that's a 34-bed facility that is federally certified. Again, it's 96% of the individuals that are out there. Again, it's I don't want to place the stigma, but a lot of people do have mental illness and so forth. Now, mental illness can be as simple as anxiety, and who doesn't have that? Now we're going to get into some of our community homes, look at the certified homes. When we look on grounds, and that was part of the development of this years ago, when the main center, there was a county triple Q that's placed there, and that's a differentiation between the main center and some of the community qualifications for homes. So you have to have a separation under what we call the HCBS, the Home and Community-Based Service Program, which is really a lot of hoops to jump through because it gives you greater availability to bill and provide services to people out in the community. So that's a whole nother thing that I could talk for hours on. These are some examples of certified homes. We have 2 certifiers within our building that do the annual certifications on these homes. We do have a 4th one that's not listed here because we're currently renting that out, not as a client home, but we've used that as an availability when people are relocating to jobs and so forth, where we charge them rent and so forth. So it's basically a rental. These individual apartments are excellent little homes. When you transition inpatient, you just need some ongoing services, maybe some medication management, some support, someone that's, when you call the phone number, there's someone on the other line 24/7 versus calling 911. That's what this program is. Otherwise, they're self-sufficient and you're very independent. Willow Ridge Community-Based Residential Facility, that is part of the old main building that we did renovate. The first floor, we created 2 50-bed community-based residential facilities. We call them CBRFs. When we first opened the one, we had to have a little bit of a change of not philosophy, but more of the population we were going to serve. We tried to focus highly on the dual diagnosis of mental health, alcohol, and drug. We struggled there. Made some changes, did a little bit different, change with the subgroup to meet the community and Wisconsin needs as far as meeting some of these managed care organizations. Finding, I'm not quite ready to go to a nursing home, but I'm not quite needing inpatients. So it's kind of an in-between where you can kind of age in place. With this, we have the continuity of care concept with the nurse, with some of the direct care, with their psychiatric and medical providers. So it's been, and we're running at, about an 80% census with that. Initially, we struggled, but again, it's It's getting your sea legs and developing the program. The other side of that, we are going to be opening in 2024. That is another CBRF, community-based residential facility that will be focusing on the initial concept of mental health and alcohol and drug addiction, different things like that. But we have some work to do yet. We were able to, look at our rate scales, do a tier system of such based on the need that you require while you're in the facility. So you're not at a flat rate for everyone. My care might be a little heavier than John's care, next door. So how can we bill for that and still supply that level of care? Vocational programs. We had the building in Independence when we decided to, at the old Mississippi Valley Annex building, we had that building and we sold that building. When there was a decision not to tear this down, we said, let's move this program up to the main center. So what we did is we remodeled our ground floor and created a vocational program down there. You'll see these pictures in here. You can see there's, we have contracts. The primary contract we have right now is with Ashley, and people come in every 6 months. They're evaluated for a work analysis on wage studies and so forth. We're regulated under the state. This provides not only inpatient and outpatient, but community. So there might be a family in the community that has individual in their family with some disability of some sort, and they bring them out for the day and they're with us, and then they get paid for their position, they pick them up and so forth. And we do provide transportation at times. And this is our outpatient vocational services. So we do, the next picture is our Tri-R recycling. A little bit more well-known to people because they offer community pickup, Independence, Whitehall. We have stations for drop-off. We have a drop site out at the main building, and it's just like going to work for people. They have a break room, the whole 9 yards. It's paid positions, and although it's not profitable, our mission and philosophy is to provide a service for individuals in the community. It's not about, and I know some people will cringe when I say this, but it's not about making money. It's about It's the philosophy of providing this service and the need for individuals that really need it, although having the availability to cost shift funds to still be profitable and not go on tax levy dollars. Farnham Community-Based Residential Facility. That's been with the organization for years, very successful. We did drop 3 beds in there probably about 3 years ago because that was a new, they're always changing regulations. They're always changing capability of the ability to bill certain managed care organizations and stuff. And we had to drop our bed size in order to meet those criteria. And that one's a very nice rate that we are currently adjusting. It's usually full and right in the heart of Whitehall and very successful. Pigeon Falls Healthcare Center, 37-bed skilled nursing facility. If I use the terminology SNF, NF, SNF is skilled nursing facility, NF is nursing facility. The nursing facility just is not Medicare certified, which means, you cannot use the 100+ days of an individual that comes in for PT, OT, and different things like that. So Pigeon Falls, our waiting list at there right now, I think is 26. Go ahead.
Has that always been part of the healthcare center, or was that a separate nursing facility at one time?
Golden,
It was separate.
is it Golden Age?
No, that was the Farnham House.
Okay, but it wasn't it still, oh God.
Before I know it's different.
Yeah, it was back in the, I can see her who used to own it.
But we're talking 30 plus years.
Yes,
Yeah.
30 plus years.
So both farms
Back when I was on the board.
was
Back when I was on the committee.
Yep. And this is a facility that the healthcare center acquired. There was a remodel done, I believe, in 2010. And one of the main things that we did, which we're doing some major capital investments right now with flooring and stuff like that, because it's an old building. Last year was a capital investment of the sprinkler system, and you can imagine how many hundreds of thousands of dollars that is. So we budget quite, critically to continue to meet the needs of this. One of the best accommodations that we did when we did this remodel in 2010 was hospice suites. So individuals can hospice suites. So individuals can come there and receive end of life, with their family supports right around them.
How many beds do you have for hospice?
2.
2? Okay.
Yep. Although, in my opinion, every skilled facility can provide hospice care. This is just a designated, again, that's Medicare driven. We have the availability for hospice contracts. We have had them in the past. There's some wonderful hospice agencies out there, but, as long as you have some good processes and driven employees, you can do, everyday life, your interdisciplinary team does very good end of life care. Country Ridge Apartments, that's attached to Pigeon Falls Healthcare Center. That's an 8-apartment facility. Very independent, they actually have the availability to come over to the facility for activities. Some of them have their own cars. This was actually under scrutiny about 3 years ago for that. The feds have been going around to every facility and doing audits on that health, call it the HCBS, that healthcare, I always forget that. It's the Home and Community-Based Service Program, where if you don't meet the criteria, the feds will just delicense you pretty much within, and you have a 60-day notice and you lose your license if you don't comply.
How is this? This is licensed as a home HBS?
This is licensed as an RCAC, resident care.
Okay. How is that different from assisted living? It's not an assisted living
No.
license plate.
No,
License plate.
In my
License plate.
opinion, it's when you look at skilled, then you look at RCAC as the next level down.
Okay.
Then you look at adult family home as the next level there.
And then assisted living.
And then assisted living.
Okay.
And then independent living. And then, of course, up here is
Is assisted
inpatient.
living in your telescope in the future?
Well, and we have assisted living that we're going to get to.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Is there a waiting list for Country Ridge? I would bet.
Yes.
How is it long?
Yeah. It's like every time we, have someone move, because again, that's in building that you can age in place until you need that skilled level of
Right.
care.
Okay.
And we've been very creative with making a tier system for payment, as far as even if I need some assistance with my medications, but maybe Lori is 100% independent, so she has a very low rate, and we can mildly, adjust that to meet that criteria to assist them
Okay.
in living independent.
Okay.
But then, of course, there are those many times where you need that next level of
Okay.
care and so forth. Get into our adult family homes, and another name for these are assisted living. This one is on the Blair Farm, on the TCHCC farmland, right out on Arneson Ridge. Again, we have a waiting list for that also. Cedar is one in Arcadia that actually we had closed. Going over the last few years, as we all know, we're out of a pandemic, and now we're starting to go back in. So if you've been watching the news, the COVID rises are astronomical, and the hospitals are now filling up and so forth. So when we were going through our pandemic, looking at some of our staffing challenges, plus our referral base for this home was pretty low. So we did close it for about 18 months. We just reopened it. And this is one that, including the next page, which is Sunrise Apartments. Again, when you look at assisted living, the Cedar, and then you have Sunrise, which is independent. Again, level of care. They were both purchased by the healthcare center. Quite a few, well, I was back here, you know, because I came back in 2011, and we purchased the facilities, and they're now paid for, and we just reopened the one, and the other one is an 8 apartment, and we have one opening there, and we've got a waiting list. We're just doing it, you know, strategically versus putting everyone in there right away. We just take baby steps to make sure that people adjust and so forth. These are located, if you know where the Draft Horse Inn is, they're right down the road there. West Central Wisconsin Behavioral Health. Again, this was part of the annex building in the Independence area. When we closed that and decided to remodel, when you come into the beginning of the building, there is a waiting room. We started seeing adolescents there about 5 years ago. So we were able to have, I was able to work and obtain a practitioner that has a lot of experience in that area. So we do have a small percentage. Again, this West Central Wisconsin Behavioral Health, you can see everything on the right-hand side that we cover. We've got our full-time mental health, a full-time nurse for the community that covers this. I'm a backup as the RN for the outpatient clinic, plus I'm the administrator. Fun part of the operation. Provide a lot of services. A lot of people come from all over this, you know, from all over Wisconsin. If they, right now, it's still between, it went from 11 months down to about 9-month wait to get in to see a mental health practitioner right now. And we've been able to, based on census and so forth, been able to adjust hours that we can contribute towards that. So it's been very lucrative. You'll see later in the program, some funding. Again, the clinic is not a real profitable because it's a high MA, medical assistance. So we all know that medical assistance does not have a high reimbursement rate. And it's nothing that anyone's going to make money on. But again, our philosophy is to provide that service. With this, we've been pretty creative where we've created some contracts. We contracted with Berkwood Treatment Center out of Hudson that we subcontract our psychiatrist out to, and we're able to partner with them, and also offers inpatient stabilization if they need it. We also partnered with Black River Community Support Program, Eau Claire County Community Support Program, and then all of Clark County Services. So they're contracted, our practitioner contracted services we run through our clinic as a revenue, which generates revenue. Appleway Adult Family Home, another assisted living of such, right in Independence, very stable, very full all the time, and a waiting list. Cloverway Adult Family Home, another 4-bed assisted living, very stable, very full, and just a fun group. Cloverway Residential Care Apartment Complex. This is a really unique licensed building. We're the first and only state licensed RCAC for mental health specifically. So we are under greater scrutiny with some of the mental health regs, but there is not any that have that credentialing in the state of Wisconsin. So we're pretty proud of it. We do have one opening there. Yeah, which, and we have a lot of counties that, you know, even like our inpatient, part of what we've identified through decades is many individuals that come into our building have kind of unfortunately burnt some of their own bridges in different parts of the state. So what we do is bring them in, stabilize them, offer them treatment, and we work with them to prove themselves and prove their county wrong that I'm okay. So then if we can transition them to a program like this and then get them back home, it really works wonderful. But sometimes unfortunately, that's what happens with the state of Wisconsin. And it's not only the state. Go to the state of Texas, state of Minnesota, Georgia right now. I was having some, contact with a colleague down there, and it's like, oh my gosh, unreal, the struggles. So we're pretty fortunate. The next one is just general locations where we're at. This kind of has changed. Trempealeau County main campus, Trempealeau County Healthcare Center main campus. So you'll see all of those. If you look at that map on the left-hand side, you'll see there's some pins there that we've dropped to kind of show where things are. There's Willow Ridge, Willowbrook, that we did some remodeling and so forth. Actually, I think it's Oakwood, AFH. We don't have any residents in there right now because we're redoing a major overhaul in there to bring it up to date and so forth. You'll see when we talk about that HCBS credentialing, which really is heightened scrutiny by the feds. I had to have a recent professional disagreement with them on why we can do what we do with that type of licensure, because of that's why years ago there was a creation of Trempealeau, which differentiates under the licensure regarding what you can actually, organizations you can offer services and bill for. And we did prevail. But it was a lot, something I had never been through in my 30 plus years with mapping and explanations, but we did very well. So going forward, Lori Glanner, do you want to jump up here about Lori again being our Director of Finance and talk about our business operations and cash, and then we'll proceed on.
So we included this slide in here just to kind of give you a general idea of the operating business department, if you will, and the finances of the Trempealeau County Healthcare Center. On the left-hand side, it gives you an overview of the business operations. So the Trempealeau County Healthcare Center is a separate operating entity of Trempealeau County, or County of Trempealeau, which is the courthouse. So we're not just a department of the county, we are actually a separate operating entity. That we are, as Jerry has mentioned, we're directed by the Board of Trustees as appointed by the Board of Supervisors. Also, the Healthcare Center is an enterprise fund of the County of Trempealeau, or the courthouse, meaning that the funds, the Trempealeau County Healthcare Center funds, are used to account for operations of the Healthcare Center only. Just that operation of all of the facilities that Jerry has already spoken about. I wanted to mention that the Trempealeau County Healthcare Center is subject to 3 different annual audits. The first one we call our Yellow Book audit. That gives an audit of the operations as a whole. This is all subject to the same type of accounting processes that the county is subject to, and it's the financials are subject to GAAP and government accounting standards. The second audit is a compliance audit. This is an audit that's required by the Healthcare Center because we receive Medicare, Medicaid, and county government funds from all over the state of Wisconsin. And so there's a lot of regulations that come with it. There's a lot of reporting requirements. And so we are required to compile an audit that is submitted to all of those funding entities so that they can see how much money that we received from all those entities and what it was used for. This is a highly regulated type of audit. Failure to meet these reporting and regulations can result in fines and penalties. from either the state or the federal government. Our third audit is a farm audit. Our farm financial is compiled completely separate from our operating financial. So this is an audit that is compiled each year as well of just farm funds and expenses. The next bullet point indicates that we have historically not taken any tax levy dollars from the County of Trempealeau or its citizens. That's not to say it could never happen, but historically it has not happened for a long time. It has happened in the way past. But at this point, it would only be due to a major event or drastic change in our operations that would give the potential for that need. And I also want to point out that this is not how all healthcare, county healthcare organizations are funded. Many of them do receive tax levy dollars from their counties. So we are one of very few who do not capture tax levy dollars for operations. And then the last bullet point just indicates that our 22 financial report did give just over a $2.6 million profit for our organization in 2022. And then on the right-hand side, I just kind of wanted to lay out our cash. That's a little bit of a confusing concept. We at the healthcare center have all of our own business offices or business office. We do payroll. We issue all invoices to our payers. We pay all our bills. We make all our own purchases and pay for them. However, the County of Trempealeau does hold our cash balance. So we basically do all of the compiling of those numbers, and then reports are submitted to Paul's office, and then the checks are actually cut from our cash balance that's held in Paul's office. The County of Trempealeau is responsible for investing the county's cash balance. We are not a part of that process, but our cash balance is in that balance that does get invested. But I wanted to point out here that we do not receive that interest income, the healthcare center meaning, do not receive that interest income from that cash balance. And then in 2022, our cash balance, what I did was many times we will talk with Paul, we will determine what our cash balance is, and then based on interest rates, we kind of have an idea of how much of our cash balance, how much interest has been accrued off of our cash balance potentially. So in 2022, interest earned by the county off of our cash balance could have been up to approximately $1 million based off of our cash balance and the estimated interest rate off of that. And then the last bullet point on the right does indicate that the Trempealeau County auditors do allocate a cost to the Trempealeau County Healthcare Center for the services that we receive from the courthouse. That would be from Paul's office, the treasurer's office, the corporation counsel's office. We do receive services at times from Paul's office a lot. Yes, and in 2022, the county auditors did allocate $64,000 as a cost to us that we receive those services. We're not charged that, but it is noted in our audit that the county did allocate those costs to us, but then that is offset from that interest income. In theory, that cost is then offset from that interest income that the county did receive from our cash balance. I think that's all I have.
I think there's some questions.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Lori, how many employees do you guys have?
Approximately 270.
And most of them live in the county, don't they?
I would
60%,
say-
70.
I would say over 90%.
All the their pay and everything goes to, a lot of it is spent around here in
Yep.
tax dollars, so it does generate a lot of money for the county.
A lot of fuel, a lot of services. We have a lot of people that have relocated here, but again, it's dollars and revenue that's brought into all the surrounding businesses. Correct. Good point. Dawn?
You guys have been doing a phenomenal job, so I'll just put that right out there. I mean, you guys are making good money and providing an excellent service. I don't understand why the cash balances are handled separately. Is it purely because you can have better investment options with larger dollars?
So you mean why the courthouse holds our cash balance?
Yes.
So we are owned and operated by the by the county of Trempealeau. So we fall under the same 39 number. And so reporting requirements, you would want to hold on to that cash balance. We are, other than us being a separate entity, we are still a part of the county of Trempealeau.
I think
Paul,
that's
you might
probably what's the most confusing to me is that that the healthcare center is part of the county, but it's not.
And it's really hard to understand too, because even it's a separate operating entity, enterprise of such. But what's really different too is, again, the requirements for the separate audits, because the funds are so different. Even when you were looking at, say, you got the, you got ARPA funds plus, then you've got, other types of relief funds. Because it's healthcare oriented, it's Medicare, Medicaid, we don't have the same availability to apply for these other funds. So it's all about where the money, what pot the money comes out of, and it makes it all very confusing for reporting, and that's why we have Lori.
So, but we receive Medicare funds and Medicaid funds. And so those funds have to be matched with direct health care expenses that we are receiving those funds for. And so we being healthcare, the courthouse, Paul's reporting is more municipality driven, ours is healthcare driven. And so you want us to report on that, but the cash balance itself is held here with the county.
I just want to throw one thing in, yes, and they balance cash with me monthly. So we know that balance is there, and at the end of the year, our auditors need that cash balance, and we balance.
And our audit is actually combined into Paul's audit. We have our own audit and process and year-end process, and then that's combined into Paul's audit at the end of the year.
And if you look on your desks, it's the bottom of the pile of, you got a lot of stuff tonight, is the financial statement and also the insights. There's two reports that are the last two things in the pile that was in front of you on your desk tonight. And I'm going to ask you now, so I might ask you later too, that next month our auditors will be here to do the exit with us. Please bring those two reports back with you next month. I don't have one. Oh, you got one?
No, I don't.
No, you don't, because you're,
I got
those, what Audie's showing right now, those two things, I want you to bring back next month. That's the financial statement, and the healthcare center is in there.
Very good question. I'm going to move it along. Anyone wants more questions? Because I guaranteed to keep it under an hour.
I just have
Dawn had one.
I think I saw on your I'm sorry, I just have one other, I promise. I think I saw in your presentation somewhere that you're looking to add some more geropsych beds.
Yep.
Please.
I missed that. What was that?
I'll shed on that on the next slide.
Okay.
And then when you
in
do
your
that,
mailbox.
open up an adolescent section.
So I have a separate question.
So kids aren't hauled to Winnebago and Mendota. I would love that. I've been begging for a mobile crisis unit in this county for 7, 8, 9 years.
And we've actually
For
developed
adolescents.
for
For adolescents.
yeah, not for adolescents, but we go out
And for
assess people all
adults,
the
but
time.
kids are getting the raw end of the deal. There's not many services for them in that area, so you might want to put that on your horizon.
So, Paul, does your office compile this interest cash balance or show that somewhere itemized separately in the general fund? Where
It's not general fund, but, okay, the general checking account, yes, it's in there.
Okay.
Yep.
But it's actually separated out, so you,
We have to. Yep.
So it's not a line item on,
Their expenses are on that one, but
Yeah.
that's all. Yep. Yep.
And
Their
again,
cash balance is a separate cash balance.
yep, and we're not here to ask for that back or anything. So, but we just wanted to make it a point that even over the last 4 to 5 years, we just gathered some numbers together with Paul's assistance just to identify that the healthcare center is contributing to the general fund. And it's another opportunity that we contribute as a team player.
And that part, the interest does go to the general fund.
Okay.
It doesn't go back to their enterprise.
Thank God it was worried.
Jerry, one more quick question.
Yep.
If that $100 million that's in the fund that's yours, can you tap into it if you have to do some maintenance on, because you have a lot of properties? Can you tap into that? I don't know.
Free spending, I shouldn't say free spending, but when they bring in their
there you go.
vouchers, we write checks.
So-
We pay all their bills.
So that $1 million it's an estimate based off of our cash balance. The cash balance that we held is a true number. The interest rate on that cash balance is a true number, and that's how we determine that $1 million. But I don't know how much, because I have no part of the process of investing those funds. I don't know how much of our cash balance in Paul's cash balance was invested. It's more of making a point to you that cash balance is earning interest, that we are contributing to the county.
And I understand it, but if you get properties that you got quite a few here after can you ever tap into that, or that just stays there?
We have, I don't remember I wasn't part of the time that we at one time did have to use county funds. I don't know if you remember that, Paul. That was back when,
That was when they did the water line out to you.
Okay.
That was it. That was the
So-
only time we had levied in
Right.
my time, and
And it
that's
was like
going
an
back 30-some
18,000.
years, so.
I think
So
that was like an
if a major
$18,000.
event of some sort or a major project or whatever, that we would come to you and give you those numbers, or that the potential is there, but
And we were very proud last year to bring a, resolution to the table and pay off, one of our debts, multiple years early. So again, that's a team, that is working for the best interest of the residents in the county. Any other questions before I move on to the next slide? Because I know you guys got a busy night.
I have a very quick question. What's the kind of history for West Central Behavioral Health Unit? How did that come to be?
Decades.
Owned by another organization?
It was Mississippi Valley Human Services, and the service was offered to the county. The county did not grab a hold of it because there wasn't the interest, there wasn't the dollars to invest, and there wasn't the manpower to man that. So what the healthcare center did is they actually purchased the building. They assumed the responsibility of the outpatient mental health services. The county, they took it over? Well, it was over 25 years ago, because I know when we sold the building, there was a clause on there that we needed to utilize that building for a minimum of 25 years for mental health services before selling that.
Okay, so
It was over 30 years ago.
So like I'm saying, that was another organization that you took over.
Yep.
About 25 years ago. Okay.
Yep.
I was here at the time, so it was less than 36 years.
Just briefly, and then I'm going to move on. Yearly contracts, this is current people that actually hold held contracts with us. 2023 is organizations, counties that actually have a contract with us right now. So when you look at 2021, 2022, 2023, the yellow highlighted are individual counties that have utilized us in those 2 years. Current 2023 is who currently has a contract. Now, this does not include, it does not include all of our other services that are provided. We have a lot of managed care organizations, Inclusa, My Choice, so forth. We have one tribal group. We're actually negotiating right now with another tribal group. We actually have LSS, Lutheran Social Services. There's correctional holds. There's individuals who are under Chapter 51s, Chapter 55s, 30-day, 90-day settlement agreements, actually seeing some of the older used alcohol commitments coming back here and there that we're seeing, for some of the placement and so forth. And some of the, and then some crisis admissions. So that just gives a synopsis of when we talk about the entire state of Wisconsin, that's what we do. As an example, Fridays, my phone just blows up. Randy Herman's phone blows up with, from the managed care organizations, more of the general psych population. It's like, please, can you take this person? It's Friday afternoon, we need a bed. How can you help us out? Versus running clear across the state. So that's part of where we have transitioned one of our inpatient mental health units, because we have an intake, acute, subacute, and then a transition where it's more of a elderly population and people that are ready for discharge. We actually got some wonderful hospital bed donations from Gunderson Tri-County. We've been able to actually create another general psych wing to help meet that need, and it's being very profitable. Now, that level of skill for those individuals has a cost. Staffing, professionalism, and your medical components. It's because every individual that comes in there has a dual diagnosis. With that being said, in order to admit to an IMD unit, you have to have a mental health diagnosis. Well, if you go through everyone's record somewhere, there's probably something lingering there. What we're seeing is a lot of the courts, the legal judicial systems are actually, we're seeing a change in some of the protective placement criteria. That's one thing we can do out there, is we can do the emergency protective placements under the Chapter 55, but we can't for the 51s. So we're seeing some changes, not so much with legislation, but we're actually seeing some of the mindsets that these people, that have these, not these people, but this aged group with some of the challenges, no matter who you are still needing care. And they pretty much may max out in their independent living. That doesn't mean that they need to go inpatient all the time, but how can we do that? And that's what we're formulating with this development of a more general psych beds. Any questions on that slide? Okay, the next one, just a couple FYIs. You'll see those two articles, I just threw them in there. The one on the right is a presentation that the architect and I have done multiple times with the state of Wisconsin. It's after we moved into our building, a lot of good percentages, decrease the length of stay, decrease of restraint use, all that kind of stuff, because with the individual rooms that we have out there, you can use that as a self-calming and de-escalation. Left-hand side, the architect actually with our input was actually able to write an article, and we were in a journal, so it's pretty impressive. Next, that's just the license holders for every program. We have 17 locations, but 19 licensed programs. Some of them are on the same property, or they might have a roof line that's adjacent. So when you look at that, it's a little bit different with the licensure. All of these, of course, if you look at just this one page, with the 19 licenses, including Lori's, which is thousands of regulations herself, you're talking thousands of regulations. And every week, the administrator of the specific one might get a change, where I just got a 47-page last Thursday that this is how everything changes within a 30-day notice. So it's pretty detailed. Just a brief summary, we probably serve anywhere between 800 to 1,000 clients. It talks about some psychiatric consultation, contracting that we do with different counties, including the surrounding counties. Some future plans. Again, we budget for capital building improvements. We're opening, our other side when we maintain a census on the one side of greater than 75% for 3 months, 3 to 6 months. Then we're going to look at, starting to hire staff and train them before opening and transitioning to another one. We're building some walking trails right now for residents, families, staff, continue to implement trauma awareness. Trauma sensitivity will never become, and we respectfully decline to become trauma informed, because that requires so much 24/7 on call and so forth. That's what you got the acute care hospitals for, and it's too much of a liability. But as far as becoming trauma sensitive and awareness to everyone's emotions around you, including as a clerical, at the front desk, it's what we strive. This is one of our criteria that we've committed to do to be able to respectfully receive our grant that we apply for every year for $1.55 million for mental health services in the state of Wisconsin. If we didn't do that, apply for that grant, that money would once again sit in a big pot in Madison that would not go anywhere. There's a lot of money in that pot, but to retrieve that out of there, I've often said, we do, if you knew the monthly reporting Lori's department has to do for our admissions and stuff, we do this section with that grant, again, to improve the mental health and recovery of the patients and families, and also offering services to the employees. But if we didn't do that to get those dollars, they would sit there. Now, by getting those dollars, we're able to give a discount to those counties. And that, if we can leave our rate reasonable, we're going to be able to serve more people in the state of Wisconsin. So it's been very, very lucrative, as Lori and I are working on budgets and finishing them this week. And then currently we're creating a second, we've actually created one more additional wing, and we're actually so we've got one, creating another, and going to a third. Yes, Dawn?
I was just noticing that that you're contracted with the vast majority of the counties in the state, but not Trempealeau County?
No, Trempealeau County will bring some community support services into our clinic. If you go back to the previous map, it's a good question. You will notice that for the last 3 years, we were able to establish a brief individual contract this year for about probably 6 weeks. And Jay and I are currently working with Corporation Counsel to obtain a contract for Trempealeau County with the Healthcare Center IMD. Previous administration has chosen not to use us for multiple years, but we have made strides in that and are currently working together to develop a contract that we can work together to serve more Trempealeau County. But as we all know, again, that's in the past. Again, they've chosen not to use us, and now we have come around that corner, and we're going to go forward.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
That's a whole nother game we won't go down there.
Yep.
But we're moving forward.
We're going forward. Nope. So any other comments or questions? Otherwise, I will let you guys go on.
Thank you, Jerry and Lori. That was a nice presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, right, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, next is visitor spending. Dave Carlson.
I think I can keep my presentation to about 2 hours.
But I'll do it.
Do that, we're all gonna be home.
I may be. All right.
Are you able to unmute audio?
You're on. That was Emily, right?
Where's?
Oh,
He asked the question on your audio.
were you having trouble hearing us?
I don't think you can.
Can you hear us?
Are you on your own now?
Emery?
You want yours back? Go ahead.
We gotta shut that one down because it's the. Is this good? No.
I'm just going to jump into it because.
Emery, can you hear us?
We're gonna.
Because he had messaged before we started.
As soon as you're done, I can
We're
get.
getting him back here
I
now.
have to make sure he's okay before I exit out.
All right.
I am listening on the TV and I have a 30-second delay. The audio through the Zoom does not work.
Can you hear us now?
30 seconds from now, he'll say yes.
That's just how to listen on the TV. Good job. I forgot your time.
Well, then when we have votes, you're gonna have to wait 30
I'm up.
seconds for his.
I ain't waiting for
Okay.
30 seconds.
All right, seriously, I think I can get through this in about 15 minutes for you. So I am Dave Carlson. I'm the Economic Development and Tourism Manager for Trempealeau County, and here tonight to share a little bit of information about visitor spending and its impact in Trempealeau
I
County.
can only hear you through the closed circuit,
It's a long 30 seconds.
not through the Zoom.
So I don't know what, tell him to
I'll
mute
just
it.
keep
Tell him to
listening
mute
that
it and
way.
he can listen.
Continue.
He said he's good to
Yeah.
continue.
All right, so first off, thanks everybody for making a little bit of time for today.
Oh,
Can we get that fixed?
Now it's gone.
Tell him to mute it. Tell Emery to mute his mic. I think that's the problem.
Oh,
I
because
don't
we can hear the TV.
Yes.
He can't hear us. Oh, God.
Well, if you tell him now,
I don't have my
he'll-
phone, so I can't even text him.
But he needs to mute his mic. That's what's feeding back.
No, it's all these other computers that are feeding back, including yours.
Mine is muted, so I'm not feeding back.
And then something is catching it,
It's not my
It's all
computer.
quiet.
not my circus.
Mine.
This does not count against my 15 minutes.
no.
This is like really great news. You can take an hour to talk.
All right, well anyways, I'm just going to get into it, and if we have to deal with feedback, we deal with it. So you may have seen in the paper, or I think I might even have sent out an email to supervisors, but we did set a record for visitor spending in Trempealeau County in 2022. What that looks like was $40 million in direct spending in Trempealeau County. And when we talk about direct spending, that includes travel-related lodging, food and beverage, retail, and transportation related to anywhere from like a day visit to, a week or 2 week visit. That's an increase of 5.2 million compared to 2021, or in percentage terms, a 14.9% increase. So we did really outstanding. The total economic impact related to tourism in Trempealeau County comes in at 67 million. That's an increase of 7 million compared to 2021, or an increase of 12.2%. So when we throw around the terms direct spending and total economic impact, think of it this way, is direct spending is the first spending of those dollars. Total economic impact is when you factor in the ripple effect or the multiplier effect, you hear it sometimes, of that direct visitor spending circulating throughout the local economy. So it's some pretty big dollars that we're talking about here. By the way, these photographs that you're seeing in the PowerPoint are an investment that we've made over the last year by contracting some professional brand photography. And when we're talking about brand photography, what we mean is we're not just taking landscape pictures, but we're actually trying to sell the idea of, in our case, our new tourism slogan is Traverse Trempealeau County. So it's meant to show the different kinds of things you can do within Trempealeau County. So it's very people oriented, while also including some of our great natural scenery. So Trempealeau County visitor spending in 2022 was tops among our small county neighbors, Buffalo, Jackson, Monroe, and Pepin. Really proud of that. From 2019 to 2022, visitor spending in Trempealeau County was up 20.4%, which is the second best in Wisconsin. And actually, I think you all get Wisconsin Counties Association magazine, right? And the most recent edition has a nice 2-page spread on tourism spending, so if you want to see what's going on at the statewide level. And there we are right there. Buffalo County was number one. We won't talk about that. But that 2019 to 2022 timeframe is kind of important because 2019 was the last, full year for tourism unaffected before COVID hit. And then COVID hit, and every single county in the state of Wisconsin, Trempealeau County included, saw a reduction in overall visitor spending. We actually performed the best. We only went down, I think, less than 1%. Versus other counties that went down like 60 and 70%. They just got devastated. So when you start looking at numbers over the last few years, some counties are going to have really big dips in 2020 and slight rebounds in 21 and then a little bit more rebound in 22. We went down less than 1% in 2020 and then still saw a 15% increase in 2021 and another 12, 13% in 2022. So what that really means is that we're doing well. And there's some reasons for that I'll talk about in a second. But just parsing out the numbers a little bit more in terms of those visitor spending impacts, those dollars that we talked about before support a total of 415 jobs in Trempealeau County in 2022. That's about a 3% increase from 21. It also represents $9.4 million in total labor income, wages, 4.5% increase from the previous year, and a $3.4 million impact in combined state and local tax collections. Again, last year that represented a 7.6% increase. Breaking it down even further to take a look at county sales tax impacts, applying the half of 1% sales tax to that 330 or to that 67 million in total economic impact from visitor spending results in $335,000 in county tax collections in 2022 from visitor spending, and that was an increase of $35,000 compared to 2021. And to put that in perspective, in 2022, I believe it was, the county of Trempealeau collected $2.68 million in total county sales tax. So roughly 1 in 8, 12.5% of sales tax collections is attributable to visitor spending in Trempealeau County. So I bring that up because when we start looking at how much should we invest in tourism promotion, I think it's a really relevant topic. And I think I'm going to clock in under 10 minutes here, so that's good. I know you got time to make up. Trempealeau County tourism marketing budget. Currently, we're receiving $14,000. That was the same marketing budget we had last year. Last year, the difference, though, was we had an additional $19,000 from an ARPA COVID Relief Fund grants for destination marketing organizations. So we were able to do some enhanced marketing last year, which I think really proved to be effective. This year, we're trying to, be smarter with a little bit less money, by doing some more stuff ourselves and less with farming it out. Just so you know, our 2023 request, which has already gone to PTED and been approved, is to up that marketing budget from $14,000 to $20,000. And what I would say to the question is that enough? Is any amount that we could get above what we're getting now would be really helpful. And we'll just plow it right back into promoting, and hopefully that raises the visitor spending and results in even more money that the county can have available for general purposes as well as for this. And to that point, what I put down there just for consideration is that you may wish to consider, either this year or going forward, linking the marketing budget for tourism promotion to increases in sales tax or visitor spending. But like I said, this year we're looking at a $35,000 increase in county sales tax revenues as a result of increased visitor spending. And our budget request, as it stands today, is for about $6,000 of that increase to come back for tourism promotion. And that's my presentation. It helps when you don't have 125 years of history to go through. Any questions?
Well, I think that you've done a good job in promoting our county, and if people haven't got on to liking the Facebook, I mean, it is so popular now, it pops up on my feed like every day. There's some,
Yeah, we're closing in on 3,000 likes or followers on our Trempealeau County Tourism Facebook page, and we're currently running a summer sweepstakes promotion to encourage more people to not only like that page but to visit our county website. So it's.
Are we on Instagram?
We are on Instagram.
Okay.
Yep, we push some of our content to Instagram as well, and then we currently have a email list of about almost 3,000 addresses too, so we can directly send out email newsletters promoting tourism, and that's something that we are continuing to work on trying to grow, because that is for I think $300-400 a year to this Robley email service. We can pretty much push out directly to people that already have expressed an interest in getting information from us.
It's fun.
And then we were at the State Fair a couple weeks ago, working in the Wisconsin tourism booth, handing out information. I think over the course of the day, we probably handed out 700-800 brochures to people. And right now, what we're really pushing is fall. In fact, one of those that got bigger graphic on this picture here is an ad that has been developed. And if you look in the On Wisconsin Outdoors, the tabloid, newspaper thing that's in all the quick trips statewide and goes to a lot of suburban Chicago, Northwest Chicago suburbs through the newspaper, that's a full page ad that we're going to be putting in the September-October issue, pushing fall in Trempealeau County. And we're hoping to get some good, response and return on investment from that.
Really nice work.
Thank you. I appreciate this is probably the most fun job I've had in a long time, maybe ever.
Yay.
And that's a nice way to approach the retirement years, is to be having fun. I know. Yeah,
No one's retiring.
Yeah, not for a while.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Carroll.
I'll stop sharing here.
There you go. That's good job.
Thank you.
Emery's back.
All right. Can you hear us now, Emery?
Well, you might be able if they shut both of those down.
I was just gonna see if there's a 30-second delay.
The audio just came on.
I think get that.
Oh, he said his audio just came on.
Yeah, but it's the
That's
owl.
never been on.
The owl
The owl's
usually
always
isn't not on county board night.
Oh.
That was
I can hear you now.
I thought that was it all along.
No.
Yeah.
Let's get to really other one.
One on with that one.
Whoa. Just unplug it. We don't.
Throw it on the ground.
Is that one doing it too?
Yeah.
You're not going to break it because we got all our mics, so we don't need that one there.
I know.
Testing.
Emery, do you still have your TV on?
Now can you hear us?
My TV is off and I can hear you, so that's great.
Perfect.
And there's no echo.
And no echo. There we go.
That was it all on. Okay, now item 6, resolutions, 6A.
Whereas,
Environmental Land Use Property Committee.
whereas the county owns lots within the village of Trempealeau, parentheses, the village, and whereas the village provides sanitary sewer services to properties within the village, whereas the village requests an easement through county-owned lots, and whereas the easement will help the village qualify for a clean water fund loan, which will help the village reduce special assessments for benefited property owners. And whereas the county previously approved Resolution 2022-12-06, granting a utility easement to the village. And whereas the attachment to the Resolution 2022-12-06 did not properly describe the utility easement specific to Trempealeau County. Whereas the legal description attached to this resolution corrects and replaces the legal description attached to Resolution 2022-12-06. Now be it resolved that the Trumbull County Board of Supervisors hereby approves the attached corrective document which contains the proper legal description of the utility easement granted to the village. Introduced by Environmental Land Use Committee, Stacy Klein, Andy Todd, Don Waldera, Kellen Nelson, David Larson, Anthony Munson. And co-introduced by Property Committee, Richard Seisha, Dick Miller, David Orsh, Robert Becker, Dan Schreiner.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Turner, second by Ms. Nutter. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign? It's carried.
Good deal.
Item B, Executive Finance Committee, adoption of record retention schedule.
Whereas the State of Wisconsin Public Records Board reviews and revises a general records schedule every 10 years, and whereas the Public Records Board looks at statutory, administrative, and other laws, rules, and regulations and recommends record retention of various records based on that review. And whereas the attached general records schedule was issued in March 2023 for possible adoption by county municipalities. And whereas adopting the attached schedule provides consistency across the county for maintaining its records and complying with Wisconsin public records laws. Where there should be an and whereas the Trumbull County Ordinance 3.02 Public Records Retention sets forth the current record retention schedule for the county and is in need of updating. Now be it resolved that the Trumbull County Board of Supervisors hereby adopts the attached general record schedule as the county's record retention schedule, and be it further resolved that Trumbull County Ordinance 3.02 Public Record Retention is modified to incorporate the attached general record schedule as the county's record retention schedule. Introduced by Executive Finance Committee, David Larson, David Orsh, John Austin, Bridget Turner, Richard Seisha.
I make a motion to
approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Larson, seconded by Ms. Waldera. Any discussion?
At this point, I'd ask maybe
David.
if corporate counsel could give us a quick explanation on this.
May I ask a question first, because that feeds into what David's asking for?
Go ahead.
It says that there is a schedule attached.
Well,
It was
It's
in
attached- it was
your
atta-
packet, your county board packet.
Your computer one.
Your computer,
Because it's how many
It's
pages?
54 pages long.
so
Yes.
we didn't mail it.
So
It's
we put it in your packet.
in your,
So if you have your
Computer
laptop
packet.
with, you can pull it up and look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I read it here saying it's attached, and obviously it's not attached.
Not to my,
not to the
physically.
paper. I was just gonna say that, there's not a paper copy of this, but you can get it off your computer and
I
print it up
guess I
yourself
would
if you
encourage
want.
the clerk's office to make that note in the future to indicate where to find that, just in case.
But it's
That would be-
important that we all look at our packet that comes on the computer before we come here.
This would be up.
I stand corrected by Jeannie, but I do ask that it be included. Thank you.
I didn't mean to correct you, Mr. Miller. I just meant that it's everything we ever need is in that packet on our
No.
computer.
To everybody?
Okay. We said that, in the computer one you got, it said it was attached there and it said it would not be printed because it's so many pages. It was actually right in the statement.
my safety's sake here, so I don't have to ask the question again, just note it in the paper. You will find it.
On a resolution.
On the in the resolution?
On the paper that you're mailing to
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't need to see it there, but just tell me where I find it, okay?
okay.
County board? Okay. I understand.
All right. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, seem.
This is an ordinance, so I think.
Oh,
we
order.
have to vote.
Roll call. Oh,
Yep.
roll.
But there was there's gotta be,
Mr.
right.
Larson has had a question or had a comment
Oh,
first, so.
sorry about that.
Just wanted me to kind of explain. Okay. So every 10 years, the state of Wisconsin will do a review of the records retention schedule. And historically, the county has adopted that records retention schedule as is. Again, it's super lengthy. It's about 54 pages long, but we do incorporate it into our ordinance. And this is just an updating of the new record retention schedule. It takes into consideration any changes in the law that might affect how long we have to keep certain records.
One thing that I did think about when I was reading that is everybody aware of, if it is 54 pages and only minute pieces of things change in that document from the state. So are we sure that every department head is aware of whatever changes might be applicable to their area?
I did send out an email to the department heads to let them know, and I did attach a copy of it. I didn't go through each department with them as regards to what impacts them, but I did send it out to department heads about 2 months ago, I think it was. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not, we'll call the roll.
Lori Severson.
Yes.
Andy Todd.
Yes.
Emery Palmer.
Yes.
Kevin Adams.
Yes.
Dick Miller.
Yes.
David Orsh.
Yes.
John Austin.
Yeah.
Don Waldera.
Yes.
Robert Becker.
Yes.
Dan Schreiner.
Yes.
Kellen Nelson.
Yes.
David Larson.
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter.
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Bridget Turner.
Yes.
Stacy Klein.
Yes.
Richard Sasha.
Yes.
17-0.
Item C, Executive Finance Committee and Personal Bargaining Committee for amending the ordinance 2.05, directing the Information Technology Director as administrative coordinator until we get an administrator.
Whereas state statute requires counties to either have a county executive, county administrator, or administrative coordinator to assist in managing the affairs of the county. Whereas in 1986, Trempealeau County utilized the appointment of an administrative coordinator and in 2001 designated the county clerk for this position. And whereas Trempealeau County Ordinance 2.05 allows the county board to designate any elected or appointed officer as administrative coordinator at any time by amending this ordinance. Whereas in January 2023, the position of corporation counsel was designated as the administrative coordinator. Whereas the corporation counsel position will soon be vacant and there is a need to appoint an administrative coordinator until the county can put the newly created county administrator position in place. Whereas designation of the information technology director as administrative coordinator would be an effective and efficient way of fulfilling the county's statutory requirements. Now be it resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors hereby amends Trempealeau County Ordinance 2.05 by designating the information technology director as administrative coordinator for Trempealeau County until the county fills the newly created county administrator position. Introduced by Executive Finance Committee, David Larson, David Orsh, John Austin, Bridget Turner, Richard Sasha.
Is there more?
Oh, I gotta go, yeah. And co-introduced by Personnel Bargaining Committee, John Austin, Kellen Nelson, Jeannie Nutter, Ron Johnson.
Motion by Ms. Nutter to approve.
Second.
Second by Ms. Turner. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Emery Palmer.
Yes.
Kevin Adams.
Yes.
Dick Miller.
Yes.
David Orsh.
Yes.
John Austin.
Yes.
Don Waldera.
Yes.
Robert Becker.
Yes.
Dan Schreiner.
Yes.
Kellen Nelson.
Yes.
David Larson.
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter.
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Bridget Turner.
Yes.
Stacy Klein.
Yes.
Richard Sasha.
Yes.
Lori Severson.
Yes.
Andy Todd.
Yes.
17-0.
Item 6, Audit Committee, or D, 6B, Audit Committee, members' claims.
And before I start reading this, I have a note from Stacy to remind county board members to please sign their monthly vouchers. This time there were 4 of you that didn't. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't have them. She didn't give me them. She just said,
But you're
please
not
remember.
getting paid until they're signed.
We have, I don't know. I can't tell you because I do.
That's what I covered
I
for
don't
Bridget.
know who, okay?
Yeah, your name's on the audit, so you must have.
Yeah, I must have signed mine.
Whereas the audit committee has audited the following claims and recommend that they be allowed as follows. John Austin, $1,260.91. Kevin Adams, $69.65. Robert Becker, $170.96. Ron Johnson, $349.56. Stacy Klein, $367.68. David Larson, $328.38. Dick Miller, $120.96. Kellen Nelson, $67.03. Jeannie Nutter, $709.38. David Orsh, $55.24. Emery Palmer, 0. Richard Seisha, $168.12. Dan Schreiner, $303.28. Lori Severson, 0. Andy Todd, $433.40. Bridget Turner, $475.76. Dawn Waldera, $118.34. Total per diems, $3,500. Total expenses, $1,498.65. Grand total, $4,998.65. Now be it resolved that the claims be allowed as shown, introduced by Audit Committee, John Austin, Ron Johnson, Jeannie Nutter.
Looking for a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Ms. Nutter. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, call the roll.
Dick Miller,
Yes.
David Orsh,
Yes.
John Austin,
Yeah.
Dawn Waldera,
Yes.
Robert Becker,
Yes.
Dan Schreiner,
Yes.
Kellen Nelson,
Yes.
David Larson,
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter,
Yes.
Ron Johnson,
Yes.
Bridget Turner,
Yes.
Stacy Klein,
Yes.
Richard Seisha,
Yes.
Lori Severson,
Yes.
Andy Todd,
Yes.
Emery Palmer,
Yes.
Kevin Adams,
Yes.
17-0. Thank you.
Would somebody like to make the motion for
Chair?
7? Yes.
I didn't notice this earlier, but we have a gentleman from the Veteran Service. Is we going to make him sit outside for our closed session? Or can we make an adjustment to the amendment?
Is he a closed session?
No.
No.
No, he's not the closed session.
No, he's after.
No,
He's
but
after.
he's sitting here.
Oh, his appointment.
Okay.
Can we make an adjustment to the amendment
Where is it?
at this
Yeah,
stage?
Where
Jump
is it?
down and
number
do these
10B.
appointments before
Oh.
we go to this closed. Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna jump,
got
I
it.
missed that on our audit, on our agenda. Let's go to item 10 and we can come back to the closed session.
You don't need to do
Announcements and appointments and elections. Affirm the ad hoc committee, which has already met once and they'll meet again tomorrow night. The ad hoc committee consists of Stacy Klein,
Waldera.
Dawn Waldera is the chair, David Orsh is vice chair, Stacy's the secretary, and Emery Palmer and myself. And while you're there, are you gonna be able to make it tonight or tomorrow night, Emery?
Yes. I will.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, now,
So
motion
looking
to
for
confirm.
approval.
Yeah.
And I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Ms. Nutter. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, affirm the Veteran Service Officer appointment.
I make a motion to approve him as our new Veteran Services Officer.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve.
We
Would
should
you like to
probably
get
say
up
a
and
name for the public.
Oh, yeah.
Introduce yourself to the public so the veterans out in the
Sorry.
You want
can
to
see him.
vote on him first so that he
Oh,
does that?
okay, yeah. We have the motion in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Now he is. Now he can talk.
No, it's official, so introduce yourself to the public, but keep it short.
Keep it short, all right. Yes, I'll absolutely keep it short. My name is Joe Quackenboss. I'm a veteran myself. And I just want to say thank you for trusting me with this. I served in the military for 6 years. I was deployed to Iraq in 2008. I came home as a broken soldier. I actually went through the Trempealeau County Veterans Office working with Steve to get my VA benefits all squared away. Steve trained me to do the whole job before he left, and then kind of just entrusted me to keep it going. That's what I'm going to try and do. So,
Congratulations.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks. Welcome aboard.
Thank you all.
Okay, now we can go back to the closed session. Item 7. Would somebody like to read that? I don't think it's fair for the chair.
Motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute, section 19.85(1)(g), to confer with legal counsel for legal advice on pending litigation under a workman's compensation claim.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. I'll
No,
read
you got
the call. Read the roll.
Oh, we can do it that way. Yeah. And then you'll do it afterwards, right? Okay. John Austin?
Yes.
Dawn Waldera?
Yes.
Robert Becker?
Yes.
Dan Schreiner?
Yes.
Kellen Nelson?
Yes.
Dave Larson?
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter?
Yes.
Ron Johnson?
Yes.
Bridget Turner?
Yes.
Stacy Klein?
Yes.
Richard Seisha?
Yes.
Lori Severson?
Yes.
Andy Todd?
Yes.
Emery Palmer?
Yes.
Kevin Adams?
Yes.
Dick Miller?
Yes.
David Orsh?
Yes.
All 17.
Continue with what you were saying.
Well, they're there if you got questions, okay?
Come and see you.
Come
Oh,
and see me if you have any questions, yes.
anyway, I missed one item on my appointments or whatever announcements. Rick Niemeyer has reservations for the WCA.
I have the reservations.
Well, they were for him, but he's resigning, so he won't be there. So we have a motel room and registration for at least one of you that's not planning on going.
Please plan on going.
We need one more.
Paul, what is the date again?
September 17, 18, 19.
I am approved to go on time.
You are in all.
Yep, okay, I wanted to make sure. Yep.
Yeah, this is for somebody who had previously registered.
I think Dick Miller should go because he filled in for me last year when I couldn't go.
Huh.
I'm a regular fill-in, huh?
You're an alternate.
Put me down for it.
Okay.
Unless someone else wants it worse than I do.
Are you,
You're in.
but have I seen the reservations and stuff?
I got it ready to turn. I haven't actually got that part back yet. But yes, everything is, I've gotten the registrations back. I got to get the room reservation names back yet.
Okay.
Then you'll get it. So you're all going to get it in the next week or so. Yep.
In our email or
Mailbox or
mail?
where?
I'll get it to you.
Can you email it?
Because it'll be before the next county board.
Can you just email it? Put it in a packet?
I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you one way or another. Thank you.
So that's taken care of. We don't have to worry about that anymore?
And we all are staying at the Holiday Inn, which is just a block away from the
The new one,
Kalahari.
this Holiday Express or something?
Yes,
isn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
So there will be bus service, shuttle bus,
You can walk.
or you
it's
could
only
walk
a
it
block.
too because it's close.
Or you can drive or you can park at the bus.
You could drive yourself also, yes.
Well, walk, it's quite a ways from one end of Kalahari to the other, just walking. I ain't doing that.
Okay,
I think they actually have shuttle bus coming by too.
yes, there will be shuttle bus.
Okay, correspondence.
I don't have any.
All right. Did you have any, this probably be your last board meeting, or are you gonna come?
Potentially, we'll see what happens next month.
Okay.
It may be next month just because of.
Maybe
Yeah.
It's
he'll
the
go to that new job and he'll stay there.
It's the 25th of September, so it's.
It is, okay.
Right.
It just depends on when the new person starts, so. But
Okay.
We'll talk.
Yeah, because
What new person?
whoever the new.
Whoever the new corp counsel is.
Corporate counsel.
yeah.
Where's going to that one?
Yeah, there are interviews on Friday, so we'll know who the new CC is on Friday.
Maybe.
Well, maybe.
You gotta have somebody there.
Okay, we need a motion.
Motion to instruct the clerk to pay mileage and per diem.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, and seconded by Mr. Larson.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Ready? Robert
Call.
Becker.
Yep.
Yes.
Dan Schreiner.
Yes.
Kellen Nelson.
Yes.
David Larson.
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter.
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Bridget Turner.
Yes.
Stacy Klein.
Yes.
Richard Seixas?
Yes.
Lori Severson? Yes. Andy Todd?
Yes.
Emery Palmer?
Yes.
Kevin Adams?
Yes.
Dick Miller? David Orsh?
Yes.
John Austin?
Yes.
Don Waldero?
Yes.
17-0.
So we can officially
And the next meeting?
adjourn at 9:09. Our next meeting is on September 26th at 7. What?
5th.
25th.
That's a 5.
What did I say? Oh.
6.